Now, let me give some brief introductions. My name is Terry Palmer, Dr. Terence Palmer. I'm a psychologist. I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a psychologist. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm a spirit release practitioner. And I'd like to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Andrew, here. And he is a medium. Andrew is able to access the spirit world where I can't. Now, if you can imagine for a moment a wedge shape with a sharp, thin end and an opposite thick end, okay? I am at the sharp end, the thin end of the wedge. I can't see or hear spirit at all. I'm not mediumistic. I'm no clairvoyant. And most medical practitioners and psychiatrists are at that sharp end. And because they can't see or hear spirit, they assume that anyone who can has some kind of mental illness. Some do have mental illness, but they also include clairvoyants and psychics as being mentally ill or abnormal in some way. Now, Andrew is at the opposite end of the spectrum. He can see and hear spirit very, very easily. Now, there's a positive and a negative dimension to all this. Those people who are able to enter into an altered state of consciousness and communicate with spirit, who have a strong sense of self, who are fully integrated as a human being, these are your people who develop mediumistic abilities and are able to communicate with spirit in a positive, sensible way. People who have fragmented personalities, people with borderline personality, dissociative disorder, people who suffer from psychosis, are on the negative spectrum. And these are the people that can be affected by the negative spirit entities, and these are the people that we're here to help. Now, I'm going to invite Andrew to stand up in a moment and allow himself to be taken over, if you like, in a form of trance possession by his spirit guide, Chen. And I'd like Chen to speak to all of you. Would you like to?
Yeah, of course. Good morning to you. My name is Chen. I'm Andrew's principal guide and surgeon. So I would like to welcome you all here today for this very important meeting and workshop. And I would like to take the opportunity as well to thank our good friend Mr. Palmer for putting this on. This is extremely important work, and this is an extremely important area that all of you have engaged in. And of course, it's by no particular coincidence that you've all appeared to be in this room at this time, because there's a lot happening on this particular planet. The level of negativity and control is starting to subside to a certain degree, but there will be many problems, and obviously people that are hearing voices and having negative abusive control will start to get much, much worse. So what's going to happen is that you're going to start to identify and notice that society starts to break down, because we're going to have problems with people that have this level of negative control, and they're going to start to run rampant in society. And obviously all of you are seeing this on your television screens on a daily basis. So you're seeing these people that are hearing voices, that are heavily medicated, but they're killing people. In countries such as America, you're seeing people running rampant with their ammunition and their rifles and such like, and they're taking people's lives. And this is by no means a coincidence. So all of these people are normal human beings, like all of you in this room. They have their normal thought patterns, and every human that's born is born in love. You're born as children and babies with the energetic vibration of love around you. It's only as you grow up and the things that happen to you, changes your own mental state and obviously your emotional state too. And of course, when people go through traumatic situations in their life, different types of abuse and different types of emotional challenges and such like, their psyche struggles to cope. And of course, if it starts to fragment and break down, what happens is their auric field breaks at the same point. And when someone has a broken etheric field, what happens then is negative energies or entities, or however you like to see it, have the opportunity to connect with the person. And these entities are real, and they exist, and they've always existed. And they've always existed on this planet long before the first human being ever walked on this planet. So they're around you all the time, and they have influence. They have the influence of your political situation. They heavily influence all of the government structures and people in power. And this is why you've seen that most of the world is in chaos. And most of the world is negatively in chaos. And governments are involved in very negative things, lots of people dying and lots of corruption. And this is, again, by no means a coincidence, because the majority of the energetic vibration of this planet is held in a negative substrate. And people like yourselves are all here to change it. And this is why I am working with the likes of Chen Andrew and Terence, because I've been in a human body many, many times, and I know the challenges that you all face. And as I've said to Chen Andrew many times before, when he always complains about everything. It's part of his personality, challenge me and push me. Same for this morning, I had things to talk to him about. The fact that it was 6:30 and he didn't sleep, well, it's not my problem. Wake up, we've got things to do. You've got plenty of time to sleep when you've perished and you've passed on to spirit. Relax then. But as I say to him, living on planet Earth, being born as a human being, this is not a holiday destination for you. You've come here as a human being. You have a spiritual entity and energy that exists inside of you, and you're here to work. You're not here to laze around and watch television and do nothing. You're here to work, and you're working from a spiritual perspective. And all of you carry a vibration, and the higher the vibration you have, the more change you can make. And this is why there is this, if you like, battle going on between light and dark, because the darkness that exists, that controls the television and the media, is trying to basically cause fear and negativity, because it changes all of your vibration in a lower negative way. And therefore, the more negative influence it can have, the more control the negative side has. The positive side is doing the same, but in the opposite way, of course, by trying to raise people's vibration and connect with spiritual realms, because we can make huge change, and we are making huge change. And this is why you're starting to see the light starting to be shined into the negative areas. And this is why you're seeing things coming up in your politics with your politicians and corruptions being exposed, because the vibration of the planet is starting to change in a positive way. But primarily, all of you here are working with or have clients, and you're going to find that there's going to be enormous explosion in the type of clients that you have, and those type of clients have psychological problems because of negative attachment or negative control. And this is what this course will hopefully teach, is we'll start to shine the light on there are methods of working with these people, and you can make massive change to people's lives. And if each of you can just change one person's life in a positive way, their vibration changes in a positive way, and that makes an enormous difference to everyone on the planet and to yourselves, because you have to live in this society. And if society starts to go down negatively, it will affect your life. People will be breaking into your house, people will be doing things in a very, very negative way to you and your families. So everyone on the planet collectively has actually a vested interest in making a positive change here. Now I know I could carry on talking, as you can see, non-stop for hours on end. Terry will get quite annoyed, and Andrew's away with the fairies, so to speak, anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. And we do have this agreement that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to a certain degree, and of course I wouldn't push that too far, but I do what's the right wording? I am happy that we've got an arrangement whereby I can take over and control when we collectively agree. And as you say, this is an example of positive possession. Of course, if I was a negative spirit or a negative entity, then I could have the same level of control that you can see here. I can move the full body, I can move the head, I can move. If there was a machine gun on the floor, I could lift it and I could use it. So negative entities have the same level of control potentially as I have here from a positive perspective. So would you like me to hand back to you, young Terence?
Does anyone have any questions for Chen? Margaret?
I had always assumed that the negative entities had at some stage had a physical life in a physical body, but you said that they have been on the planet since before we existed. So my question is, so where did they come from?
Many negative entities have never been physical, they've never been in human bodies. Many of them, there are millions of different species that exist in all of the galaxies that you do and currently don't know about. So there are more occurrences than you can possibly imagine. And of course, many of these entities have control here on planet Earth. And many of, if you look at your royal line, your royal families, they are in a way direct descendants from some of these entities. So if you look at your hieroglyphs in your pyramids and such like, they depict some of these entities. They show you pictorially what they look like. They show them as kings and queens and the subservient working class underneath them. So these entities have been here a long time. And of course, effectively, you are living on their planet. So the analogy I like to give, because I think it works quite well, is the concept of the humble cow. The cow is looked after by a farmer. It's allowed to graze in a field. It eats its substance in the form of grass, and then the farmer takes it into the milking parlour where that substance is changed, converted into a liquid. Obviously milk is taken from the cow, and then it ends up in your supermarkets as different products, whether it be milk or cheese or whatever product is made, and then you yourselves go along and you buy that. But the cow's got no idea, after it lost its milk in the milking parlour, has no idea what's happened to its collective energy, effectively. And this is what can happen with human beings. Your energy can be stolen and can be traded on an intergalactic market with these different entities. And human energy is caviar, basically. It's one of the best energies that these different types of entities that exist can buy. And this is why you'll find that when a negative entity has control of a person, the end goal is always suicide. Because when they can take that person to the point of suicide, the level of fear and adrenaline in that person's body is absolutely enormous. And of course, this is the caviar of negative energy. The vibration is the most negative because the vibration of fear is negative by default. So if you can get someone to a state whereby they're willing to take their own life, then the entity that has control of that person is effectively able to trade gold intergalactically.
Wow.
Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yes, very, very well. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Chen if we can end that there, because I'd like to keep these clips not too long. So if I can thank Chen for his address, we may have an opportunity to speak with him later over the course of the weekend. But for now, thank you very, very much, Chen, and perhaps you can release Andrew back to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Want to take a seat?
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chen. I'm going to bring this first clip to a close now, and when we start recording again, we'll be doing a trance induction. Thank you very much.